morning, everyone. No matter where you are, if it's morning, an hour from now in the Caribbean, if you're in England, probably like 6 hours away. Good morning and welcome to Table Talk Show with Nikki the Voice on islandvibe.net. We are currently in carnival season and there's so much going on, in the background. So much is going on in the islands. But we over here in America freezing. You know that song where it says, Lauren, are freezing. It's time to go to Trinidad. Well, it doesn't go like that. It goes, it's totally different. But welcome everyone to islandvibe.net Table Talk Show. We have lots in store for you. I have a guest who is a CEO of a company. She employs people, if you're looking for a job and so forth. She also does marketing, and there's so many different areas that we're going to jump into. We also have a music countdown. It's not in any particular order, but we just want you to hear some of the music that is out there and it's being played. Or even if it's not being played, at least you know what it is. So if you end up going to a club, going to a party in Trinidad, or you're jumping in the back of a truck, you are aware of what's out there. All right. So again, welcome to islandvibes.net. This is Nikki G, the voice, and you're locked into Table Talk Show. Keep it locked.
Broadcasting live from Philadelphia, Island Vibe, Philly's newest and hottest station.
You're listening to islandvibes.net. All your hits banging right here. Philly #1 Caribbean station. Best in dance-off.
Undisputed champion. Heavyweight, world great. At the Met Gaza celebrate.
Call the Uber. Call the Uber now. I am coming to ya.
Reggaeton.
Algunos parecen todavía viven en el siglo de la hombría, que te arregla solo para ellos y que para tu hombre te maquilla.
Johnny Soca.
Love in my heart, rum in the veins. I so love my rum. Bring an next bottle again. I so love my rum. Bring an next bottle again.
And more. Islandvibes.net.
So keep it locked. Welcome to Table Talk. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and iTunes.
Own it. Girl, you just own it. Cause your body's on fire. Show me how to control it.
Table Talk Show is now on Island Vibes Radio. You can catch us every Saturday from 10 to 12 p.m. Log on to Island Vibes Philly or islandvibe.net.
Come a little bit closer. It's the money red. Come a little bit closer. Come. Yeah. Hold me closer. Hold me closer. Hold me closer. Baby, jump me harder. I want you forever. Hold me closer. Well, if you want love, get close up now. I'm pushing it hard. Pushing it back hard, baby. Keep pushing it hard. Pushing it up hard on me. I'm pushing it hard. Pushing it back hard, baby. Keep pushing it hard. Pushing it up hard on me. Baby, nothing sweeter than when I'm whining on you. Nothing make me feel better than when I'm jamming on you. I want you jamming like jam up on me like yeah. So hold me closer. Hold me closer.
Hi, everyone. Good morning again. If you're just logging in, you're tuned in to Table Talk Show with Nikki G, the voice. And, it's a bright, sunny Saturday morning. We're already in February, and, Carnival is kicking off in Trinidad. Over here, it's just cold. And for all those who are traveling to Trinidad and Tobago, I just wish you a safe journey. My guest today is none other than JiJi Monazier. I have to kind of get familiar with the name, the last name. How do you pronounce it again?
Monozier.
Monazier. Okay, so I was close. Very good. JiJi is a CEO of Well Plugged Services. It's a family brand. And I brought her on here because, she has a story to tell about her father. But before we get to that, we want to, highlight, people are at home, some people who need services as far as jobs are concerned. Companies are doing a lot of layoffs and so forth. And we also want to show you how to start a business, to start your own business, how it's conducted, some of the rules and regulations. JiJi might be able to enlighten you on. Okay. So welcome, JiJi, to Table Talk Show.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you guys today.
You're welcome. So tell me, JiJi, how did you format the company? How long have you been in service and so forth?
The company itself started in 2017. It became an idea after working in the nonprofit world for quite some time, and also being around a lot of different people in the nightlife. Like at the time, I was with someone who was a DJ, and
Okay.
a lot of my close friends were promoters at the time. So the idea just came about that I kept helping them with a lot of things behind the scenes, like the door or finding them bartenders and finding them venues and etc. And in my regular 9 to 5 at with the nonprofit, I was in charge of communications and marketing, and a lot of the events at the at the nonprofits that I was at were done by me. Their wine tastings, all types of fundraisers. So everybody just said, "Oh, you're really good at coordinating events and being behind the scenes. It would be good to start a business like that." And like 2 or 3 of my promoter friends were like, "No, seriously, you've been helping us. You might as well turn it into a business." And that's exactly how it came about in 2017. We tested it out during Memorial Weekend. And then the next month we started to really take on clients. And since then we've been around.
That's good. Okay, so for people who don't know about Memorial Weekend in the Caribbean community, could you just elaborate on that, where your company would fall in and how you would service people in that area?
Memorial Weekend launches basically summer in the United States. It's a weekend for them to remember people who were in the military, who have served in the military and may have passed away. But for some reason, they don't focus on that part. They more so focus on the fact that now summer has started. People usually start wearing white Memorial Weekend. So because that's when you launch your ability to be able to wear white in America again, apparently, a lot of people start having all white events and multiple events back to back during that weekend. So it's a great moment for us as a business at the time that was mainly focused on servicing events. It was a great moment for us to get started because that's exactly when people were able to book us to serve events where we were working. The Door was our first event that we did at Warm Daddies, and they were having Caribbean Fridays that night. And we were able to work the door and coordinate behind the scenes things for that particular client, make sure that they had their tickets set up, their system set up to take money. We were able to coordinate what time the DJs were coming in and out and playing. And we coordinated the payment for the DJs and all that other stuff. So, and that continued on for years until Warm Daddies was done with their Friday nights.
Oh, nice. Okay. So your marketing company is basically for the business or the corporate, not corporate, but the entertainment industry.
No, so the marketing part actually just launched this year because
Okay.
I got my master's in marketing and digital marketing last year from Rutgers University.
Okay.
So the marketing wasn't really being done. The company really started off with just mostly doing event services. So providing staffing for events, providing coordination for events, but no promotion at all. We do not almost never promote events.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you don't
And it
promote.
wasn't just for nightlife. We were doing weddings. We were doing corporate events, private events. So no matter what type of event you were having, if you needed a bartender, if you needed a server, if you
Yeah.
needed help coordinating the day of, which is very important for wedding, because even if you have a wedding coordinator, you need somebody to kind of help with the flow of the wedding the day of. And sometimes we would come in and do that.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's great. I mean, a lot of people don't know about these type of services because most services is, as you said, like they would have more corporate, for admins and so forth, or if you want to work in the post office, if so entertainment is something that you hardly hear of in the Caribbean. So what was the feedback when you started doing this?
In the beginning, it was kind of like curiosity of how this would work because a lot of people would use their own family members to save money and things like that. But I saw a niche that needed to be filled. And I honestly just felt like from going to events and just being behind the scenes a lot because of who I was associated with. And it was just not just the Caribbean, I was in the African community as well. So
Okay.
I was just saying how things were going in the background. And I was like, oh, I see so much room for improvement just from doing this on a academia level and doing this on a nonprofit level. I could take those skills and those industry things and bring it into this community and improve how they're delivering their services. After a while of being there, that's when everybody was like, oh, this is actually a really good idea. And we started to get booked more frequently and we saw other companies start to come out and as well. But as far as the American industry, there's there's a company called VIP Servers that's like major in Long Island, Los Angeles. There's
Okay.
Something else called Model, I think it's called Model Service, where they
Mm.
actually book models to be bartenders and servers, so that way you have a specific look for your.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this industry is not something that I created. It's actually been around 20 years before me.
Ah, okay, okay. Yeah, I mean, I know about the bottle servers service and stuff like that. And then they have bartenders normally, because when we, in my company, they would hire someone to come in and do the bottle service because we can't do it ourselves. But the entertainment part, I think that's very interesting. What made you rebrand your business?
I had to rebrand well because I started to try to let's see, incorporate it more and make it more structured. And
Okay.
as I started to go to coaching and started to go to other business associates, and just speaking to like the African American Chambers of Commerce, for example, individuals who do this regularly, and found out that travel wait staff and travel bartenders is such a big thing, and there's like a whole structure for it. And then I wanted to launch my marketing business. And they said, you can do it under the same brand, but you have to rebrand and separate those two because they're technically two different service industries.
Entities, yeah, yeah.
So it'll still be well plugged, but for you to be able to get funding, for you to be able to do your taxes properly and structure your business properly, those two entities have to be separated. Not to mention the fact that a lot of people kept getting confused in our communities because
Yeah,
they're not used to it. So when I say that, okay, we're coming out to do an
yeah,
event, they didn't always understand that. For example, I'm not bringing the alcohol. Like, I'm only bringing the bartenders. Oh, okay, we're going to hire your wait staff. Okay,
yeah,
so how much food can you bring? Do you do the jerk chicken? Oh, wait a minute. We're not caterers. We're just the wait staff. So when you
yeah.
book us, we're not coming with none of the curry goat, none of the jerk chicken, nothing. We're just coming with these two right here, some spoons, some gloves, and etc. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because as you're saying that, when I was reading it, I was like, it the same thing that you're saying is like the concept of it, you're trying to rationalize what exactly do they do, what exactly is your company about and stuff like that. So when I was reading it, I thought it was just corporate. I didn't realize it was just entertainment, or it was entertainment and corporate, a mixture of both. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
we're staffing anybody. We'll go anywhere that people need us.
mhm.
Anywhere anyone needs us because it's a major hospitality industry for to be able to provide staffing and staffing services or services related to events. If you ever look up event staffing, you'll find more than like 1,000 companies throughout the area that do this. So we were like, they have some that are called like event staff glam, where they are really there to promote and really dressed up extra, and they come with so much more details. There's one that's that does only for celebrities, and their prices, they start at $2,000 off the bat for just one bartender because they only cater to celebrities. So this staffing industry thing, the hospitality industry, is way broader and bigger. And I just wanted to make sure that I separated the difference and brought that type of vibe to the Caribbean world.
Yeah. All right. So how was it? Because I attended an event that you catered to, which was Island Vibes. So tell me the process of that. Like someone who's listening, right? They would want to know how you do it from beginning to ending and stuff. So just say on a normal day when someone calls you and say, okay, well, I need your services. How was it with Island Vibe for the Parang thing?
So especially with the way we're structured now, I don't cut corners with having those on the call meetings because I have to know the details. In the past, I used to always be like, oh, I know this person. If I show up, I can easily just maneuver once I get there. And then once I get there, there's a lot of pop-up surprises. And people know me for being overly prepared with supplies. So I always have extra things in the car that they might not have realized they needed. And I don't like to always bring so many things with me anymore because things are slightly different. So I have to have these intake meetings. And in the intake meetings, people find them sometimes can be a little much because I ask so many questions and they're like, oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, wait, I didn't realize I had to do that. And there's things that as when you're throwing an event, there's so many details if it's not something you do every week and it's not something you think about that you'll forget about. So once we do that intake, we have to be able to identify the gaps, which is the biggest part about being well plugged. One thing that our agency does is identify gaps, whether it's in event servicing, whether it's in marketing. We speak to you and have these intakes so that way we can identify all the gaps and make sure that we're plugging all those gaps. Oh, did you know that you were supposed to have this amount of cups? These cups, no, you can't buy just any cups. They should be 9-ounce or 7-ounce cups because that'll get you the most return for your alcohol. You need to have this. And then we'll say we provide that, or we can tell you where to get it from. Once we do that intake process with you and we go through all the things that's going through to your event that we can possibly fill the gaps in, then we send you an estimate. You agree on the estimate. You send us a deposit. Our deposits are usually a minimum of $100, depending on how much your estimate is. And then it can go up to 20% of your estimate. And then once we do that, we forward you the actual, what is that called? The actual invoice. And then you pay the balance off within 24 hours of your event. We arrive at your event. We usually have multiple totes packed up with extra supplies, plus the supplies that we said that we were going to bring. So for Island Vibes, we brought in the cups, napkins. We created 3 signature drinks. We provided a shopping list for alcohol. We had our staff come in, and it's vital for us because we have insurance. That is the other thing. We have 3 different types of event insurance, not to mention our cyber insurance and our invoice insurance system. Because if somebody's providing payments online, you have to be able to ensure that if you were hacked for any reason and that person's credit card was stolen for whatever reason, that there's an insurance that covers that. So our insurance is liquor liability insurance. And that provides liability in case something goes wrong at the event and someone crashes into the event space or somebody leaves the event and crashes. That's one of the reasons we don't have bottle girls no more, because our insurance company would provide us with an extra liability for that, and that's very expensive. Not to mention there's a specific license you need to have if you are at a venue and you're providing alcohol by the bottle, because if somebody leaves the venue and gets into an accident after drinking that much, an entire bottle of alcohol by themselves, the bottle girl, the person who threw the event in the venue, are third-party liability cases in that lawsuit if that person decides to sue anybody, or if that person hits someone and they sue that person. The person suing the person who crashed can also sue the bottle girl, sue the bottle girl's company, sue the venue, and sue the person that threw the party. And most people don't know that, especially in Pennsylvania. It's called a ramp law. So we're ramp certified as well, which makes it better to be able to understand how things go. So because we have all these insurances, we have catering insurance. Just because we're serving your food and we didn't make your food, we don't know what the ingredients are. If somebody gets sick, we don't want to be liable for that. And then we have food vendor insurance, because that's a different type of insurance. If we're helping you sell the food and something goes wrong, we need to be liable because people are looking at us, even though we're not the ones that made it. So once we put all those insurances together and we put every time we're going to an event, we type in the event that we're going to before we get there. So that way our insurance company is aware of where we're going to be in case there's a liability there when we get there. We provide all of these supplies based on your contract, and we come in. We usually try to come in at least half an hour to an hour prior to the event starting. We set everything up. And another thing that everybody loves about us is we always try to clean up a little bit.
Ah, good.
Yeah, people love that. And we don't clean up at the end of the night when the event is done. As soon as it looks like it's about to wind down, within an hour before the end of the event, you'll notice my staff will look like they're like walking around and they're like dancing a little bit, but they have like a little bucket with like 16 cups in it already. They've already emptied out 2 tables, but we make it look smooth. We don't like move out the way, I'm coming through with this bag. We're like sweating, dancing, like, hey, having a good night. Let me take this for you. So we make it look, our goal is to always blend in to some extent, but always stand out. So because we have all these insurances also, we make sure to always wear a uniform that separates us from your event, because we are the background of your event. We're not a part of it. So in case anything does go wrong, your guests can identify you, your event, your people from us, because our insurance is only going to cover us. So it's a very big thing for me personally to always make sure that my staff does not look like they're a part of your event. They are the background. They were hired to be here, and that way the insurance is covering them and them only. So if there is anything that goes on, your guests understand that we're not a part of it. And if something does go wrong with just us, your guest also understands that you're not a part of it. This liability only falls on us. So that's why we always have our own separate uniforms. We don't blend in with whatever the event is. Like, let's say you're having a Christmas party. We're not coming in there dressed as elves. We're going to still have on our well-plugged uniform. Well, now it's ESP, event staffing plug. We're going to still have our event staffing plug uniform on that separates us from everything else. In case anything does go wrong, that insurance liability falls on us or on you. And we keep that separation to maintain that your guest is fully visible, because people see before they hear. So it's fully visible to your guests that we're just here to work and then go home.
That's great. I mean, it's so professional. You always know when someone is really professional. They know their business, their passion for the business, and that's everything that you exude. I'm very, very impressed. With your staff, do they have to go through training?
Yes. And it's 2 separate trainings actually. Okay. So for my staff, I provide them with the certifications online and when they sign their contracts. So once they get hired on, you sign a contract for 6 months to a year, depending on the position you got hired for. And I provide you with the certifications that you would need online, such as the ServSafe certifications, the ServSafe certification, the RAMP certification for Pennsylvania, the TIPS certification, which is basically nationwide for bartenders. TIPS and RAMP certification for bartenders ensures that you understand how to recognize when someone is overly intoxicated. Because yes, you are a bartender and you're supposed to be making sure everyone is having a good time, but not to the liability that they are going to harm themselves, harm others. And then you're also supposed to be recognizing when someone is an underage drinker, which we know in Caribbean events, people be like, oh, give my daughter a little wine on the side. But we be like, no. Or the kids will come up to the bar. We've had this happen at weddings all the time. My mom told me to come and get her a shot. And we be like, tell your mom to get the shot. Tell your mom we can't give you the shot. She got to come get it. So we're very strict on that. So our staff has to go through both of those trainings if they want to become bartenders. Also, if they want to transition to becoming bartenders, we provide them with the bartending license as well, training. So they sign this contract. With this contract, for the first 6 months, their pay is slightly reduced because they're in training. They have, for our bartenders, for example, they have to be cocktail waitresses and bar backs at least 3 times prior to being able to bartend after they've done their bartending license training and while they're getting their RAMP or TIP certification. And then after that, their contract is for them to work exclusively with us for a year. But it's more like, not that they can't bartend anywhere else, but we're a priority. So if we call them and somebody wanted to book them, they have to go with us first. And then we also have a non-competitive agreement where you cannot book with any of our clients privately. while working with us. They just
Yeah.
can't. That
Conflict of
and
interest.
yes, so we don't do none of the conflict of interest things. And for our servers, we have serve safe certification that we provide them with, which allows them to be able to tell when the food can't go out and when the food shouldn't be served. Because we didn't prepare the food, we still need to know that the temperature of the food will not make you sick. We still need to be able to identify what are the major allergens and to be able to ask the chefs, hey, is there shrimp in there? Is there peanuts in there? And then we have these little signs that we're going to be using that we can put up. And our company actually has thermometers to be able to test the food out and make sure it's the right temperature so that there won't be any issues with people saying, okay, I was served this and it was at the wrong temperature. The meat made me get sick or something like that, or the rice was rotten. So with Serve Safe, you're able to recognize what may be wrong with the food to avoid being the person that gave somebody food poisoning, even though you're not the one who cooked it. So our staff has to go through that. In addition to those trainings, I have specific ways that we do things. So the well plug service method is such a big thing for me because it's one of the biggest reasons I created the company is to be able to turn the well plug service method into an app, into a manual, and have that be used everywhere I can put it into, because the way that we do things, it's very specific and unique to us. And I train my staff to be able to recognize certain things throughout the crowd too. For example, you'd be surprised that my staff can tell before a fight happens that a fight might happen. So there's little telltale signs that I'll be like, if everybody in the party is laughing and you see one person in the corner, go up to them and ask them if they're okay. Try to diffuse the situation. Hey, are you having a good time? Is there something I can help you with? Yeah. Because little things like that help to diffuse the situation even before it happens. And if we have a client, if our client for some reason is looking a little stressed out, yes, we walk up to the client and be like, hey, you look a little stressed out. You look like you're having more than you, a little overwhelmed. What can we do for you? A lot of times you'll even see our staff walk up to our clients with a bottle of water or drink and be like, are you okay right now? You look, hey. So those are the extra umphs that we put into our system that you won't see everybody else do.
Yeah, that sounds good. So in your training process, right? Do you hire professionals? Are you in a certain setting, or where do you train your staff?
A lot of the training takes place online because I've partnered with a company that provides a lot of these trainings. Mm-hmm. And then not only that, I'm in the process of becoming a certified trainer for a lot of those certifications that you need. Mm-hmm. But I am a certified trainer for the business in general, because when I started this in this industry, well, not started in this industry, I technically started in this industry when I was like 17. But I used to be a bar manager at 23. I managed bars in my neighborhood. So I actually was a bar manager before, and I've worked in hospitality industry forever, and I've been manager for servers and stuff like that. So a lot of the trainings when it comes to that part, I provide it because I'm already well-versed and certified to be able to provide it. But I'm actually in the classes to become a certified Serve Safe trainer, a certified tips trainer, and a certified rant trainer. So that way now I won't even have to be going online and teaching them, technically speaking, all of the well plug method and the methods required by the government will be all in one encompassed thing. And only thing I had to do is send the companies their test results and they'll give it back to me that way.
Oh, nice. Okay. So if I understand you correctly, so you once you get the certifications, you're going to be assisting with the training.
I'll be managing the entire training completely.
Manage
they
the
won't even
whole
have
thing.
to go online. They'll just be able to get their booklets from me, and then we'll just be able to provide them the training. And a lot of the trainings are through videos and stuff like that anyway.
Ah, okay.
So you can just log in online and do it. But I do know that personally from my staff, there are people who don't like online learning.
Yes, some people
are hands-on.
Yeah.
So with that case, we do have like these trainings that I have 2 locations that are nonprofits, of course, that allow me to bring in my staff and train them right there at those nonprofit agencies. And because those nonprofit agencies, especially in my area, there's a lot of people who've come in from the Caribbean on the Biden program. I'm Haitian. A lot of those people are Haitian people who have come in on the Biden program, Venezuelan people who've come in on the Biden program. So with all these influx of immigrants coming in who have working papers, but their English may not be good enough, and the way they communicate and assimilate to America might not be good enough. Yeah. I take them in and I can train them and provide them with, I'm working with this nonprofit right now to be able to take those individuals in, not only help them to be able to work with Well Plug, but help them assimilate to American culture in the same time, and basically providing other island folks like myself
We need it.
opportunity to really get into this industry.
We have people in the background, like my CEO, saying he wants a job. This is great. This is really informative, you know. So now that you speak, did you say the Biden program?
Yes.
Okay, could you elaborate a little bit about that? Oh, before you go in, I mean, I know we have so much to talk about. Everybody, you know, it's a lot of information and so forth, right? So I just want to take a quick 1 minute break, 1 or 2 minutes break, let you guys get into the vibe, hear a little music and so forth, and then we will be right back with JiJi on islandvibe.net, Table Talk Show with Nikki G, the voice.
I hear Trinidad sweet, and some of the best girls down in town for the carnival. Oh, facts. Down here is the Mecca, and when they get to carnival, you
KMR Sounds.
just take a shot when they see me, dog. I want to get drunk for the carnival. I want to go down to Trinidad. I want to go jamming. Just take a shot when they see me, dog. I want to go down to Trinidad. I want to get drunk for the carnival. I hear Trinidad sweet, and some of the best girls down in town for the carnival. Oh, facts. Down here is the Mecca, and when they get to carnival, you can't get nothing better. Oh, Lord. Don't back my bag and I'm ready to wait till line by the mask down. Pull up me and get freeze bang, get drunk and wine and a bomb bomb. Ready to walk 10 miles with no shoes, watching the girls in costumes, boy. There's so much people and bacchanal out there, bacchanal out there, bacchanal out there, boy. This is the greatest carnival out there, carnival out there, carnival out there.
And welcome back to Table Talk Show with Nikki G, the voice. We're on Island Vibe Radio or islandvibe.net. If you're listening to us, you could catch us on YouTube as well, on Island Vibe and Table Talk Show with Nikki G, the voice. Right now, I'm on here with my guest, JiJi. She is the CEO of Well Plugged Services, and she gave us a wealth of information. So if you guys missed it, you could go back on our channels, you could go back on YouTube, you could see it over again and so forth, right? JiJi services the corporate industry as well as the entertainment industry, and you'll hear a lot more about it. If you need a job, you could, we'll have the links below so you could add her. You could add her on Instagram, on Facebook, and so forth. JiJi, if you want to divulge that information before we go further, where people can find you on all your social medias.
Yes, so we're on, our website is www.wellplugservices.com. Social media wise, we are on Instagram as Dijinnects Marketing, DIJINNECTS_marketing. And we are also on Instagram as ESP_event staffing plug. And then on Facebook, we are under ESP by Well Plug Services, as well as Dijinnects Marketing, DIJINNECTS Marketing. And those are our two pages that you'll be able to find us on Facebook and Instagram. We're on TikTok as Well Plug Services.
Really? Okay, so since you mentioned that, on TikTok, what would be a post that you would make on TikTok on a regular day? Because why I asked you is because a lot of people before TikTok, everybody was dancing, singing, voicing, doing all these things. But since your service for what you do, like what would be a catchy post?
Let's see. So for what we do, a lot of people like to do the background things and be real stuff. So we would probably show on TikTok how to make a drink, or we would recap an event on TikTok.
Okay.
Recaps are always really fun. We'll do a get ready with us video too. So our TikTok is not as active as it used to be because I've been really focusing hard on Instagram lately. Yeah. But the get ready with us videos are really cool. People like those. So we would be like, get ready with us to go serve at this wedding. And we show how we pack the car up, how we do it. And then we'll do a voiceover, but we'll do the voiceover to a trending sound. So that way it'll get more views. So even when you're on TikTok or Instagram, when you have those trending sounds, they just need to pop up to the trending sounds. You could put the volume down to like 10 and it's still good enough to get you as much views as you'd like to get.
All right, perfect. Okay, so as a CEO of your own company, right? What type of, how should I say this, support system do you have? Because I mean, I see you as someone who, when I first met you, let me say this. When I first met you, of course, okay, I saw you, at the Christmas party and stuff like that. So they always say when you meet someone at face value, you don't know who you're meeting. You really don't know who you're meeting. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm speaking to the bartender and this and this, not knowing this girl has a full-fledged 2 companies that's doing all this stuff. So it was really, really impressive. And I'm really happy. I mean, what we really came here to do besides your company, we're going to get to it about your dad and so forth. But it shows how versatile people can be. It shows that, when you have a passion for something and all the puzzle comes together, what you can achieve as an individual, it doesn't matter how you look. It doesn't matter. It matters how you feel, but it doesn't matter how you look per se. It's what's in your mind and what you set out to do as an individual. And then to your passion, you could help so many people.
Thank you.
You can help so many people, and this is what JiJi is doing. And I'm so happy. If I don't say it at the end or any, I'm very happy that you came across my path.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
In order to find out this and that we could, spread it out to the masses and not just the Caribbean community. I feel that everybody needs to hear this, So welcome again.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So your support system, what is that like on a daily basis?
My family is one of my biggest support systems. From my little brother to my sisters, my cousins, my biggest support system comes from my family, honestly. After my family, I have a couple of close friends that are like really ride or die for me. Some of them are on my staff, actually. But I have friends who've been around for years and are just really consistently supportive. And there's people that are consistently supportive, but are not like out there like that. A lot of my close friends, they don't want the validation on social media, or they don't need the accolades and stuff like that. So they'd be like, I'm here, but you don't need to tell everybody and their mom I'm here. I'm just in the background taking care of you. And my best friend, who's been my best friend since I was 11 years old, I really only have one best friend, but I have like a 1 or 2 besties who also support me. And then my coaches are A1. No matter how good you are at a business, no matter how talented, you could have a PhD. Get you a coach, because there will never be a I know everything moment. And I have coaches for different areas of my business. I have a coach for just the business side and the paperwork. I have a coach for the marketing stuff. I have a coach for the bartending. Yes, I've been bartending since I was 18. I have some great bartenders on my team, but there is somebody else who has a mobile bartending service where she is booked every single weekend and she does not leave her house for less than $600. No one on her team leaves their house for less than $600. Why would I not go to that person and be like, can you coach me? Because I don't know if I know what I'm doing. I have a banker that's my coach at Chase because she is a business banker. So I go to her for whenever I'm like, I don't know if I'm making money right now. What am I doing? So no matter where I'm at, I have a coach for that. I have a coach for how to structure consulting. Okay. I have a coach for how to structure the paperwork, a coach for the business banking part, the marketing, because I know a lot. I'm very resourceful. If I don't know it, I know someone who does know it. But that doesn't mean that I don't need someone to keep me on track, because I might go left or right. I might see something shiny in the corner and be like, hey, so I need somebody to bring me back. So one major thing that I'm very big on, no matter what kind of business you have, you need a coach. And it may be in your industry. It may not be in your industry. but you need somebody who's going to stay on top of you with your goals and make sure that they're very well aligned with your business and keep you on track with that. Because there's always somebody who knew more. There's always somebody who did that before you. So while you're sitting here trying to create things from scratch and reinvent the wheel, go to a coach who's already done it and can guide that wheel for you.
Yeah. But the thing is, with trying to network, I would say, right? With trying to network. I mean, I have my own business. There's things that I do, but sometimes you don't know who to go to. And even if someone say, okay, go to this person, that person, and you're looking on the internet and stuff like that, it's like you don't know who to trust, right? And then you hear of people getting swindled, and then they had managers who they had for years, people who they were married to getting swindled from, and I'm sure even some artists who've been married to some
Oh, I've
people.
been swindled.
Oh my God.
A lot of times. I've been swindled more times than I'm gonna ever admit.
What? So
how do you swindled?
So how do you as a person, right? It seems like you have a lot of networking skills and communication skills and so forth. How do you now try to avoid that? Some things is unavoidable, I guess, is by experience or whatever. But how do you see that coming, possibly, try to avoid it, and yeah, how
my thing is to be clear on what you want. This year is me practicing what I preach, because I preach it, but I don't practice it because I have a big heart and I'm always like, it's okay, let's just do it. What if it falls? It's okay, because I'm really big on no matter how many times I fail, I'm gonna always get back up.
Yeah.
And even if you kill me, okay, so now I really have peace because I don't got a bill to pay no more. I'm dead.
Oh no.
Nothing bothers me about that part, if that makes sense. Nothing bothers me about that part, because as long as there's air in my body, I'm going to find a way to make it happen. There's always air in my body. Oh, there's air in my lungs. I have no hands and feet. My brain is still working, right? Get me on a computer, and I'm gonna speak into the mic on the computer, dictate my words, and send you that contract anyways.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter to me that you are going to possibly, not that it doesn't matter, let me take that back. It matters to me that you might have the possibility to do that to me.
Yeah.
But what's more important is that I'm gonna come back from it. So it doesn't, that part is where I'm like, all right, it happened. I'm gonna cry. I'll be broken. I won't talk to nobody. I'll probably throw like 16 Twitter tantrums, but I'm gonna come back and be like, now what's the next plan? So the biggest thing is to put things in writing. And I'm taking my own advice this year.
Okay.
What your expectations are is the issue. As humans, we assume everybody thinks like us. 98% of the world does this. Yep. We just assume that if I said this word, it means the same thing to everybody. For example, I speak Creole fluently. I used to speak French fluently as a child. One word that we have in French when I was learning Spanish was hard because it's gato. Gato in French and Creole means cake. Gato in Spanish means cat. So I'm sitting in class saying, I want to eat a gato. And they're like, Haitians do eat cat. And I'm like, what?
What?
Oh, that means cat in your language. So that's the easiest way for me to put it, for people to understand that someone's perception of what you're saying and what you're actually trying to say is completely different. So when you're trying to get a coach, when you're trying to work with somebody else, sit down and set out what the expectation is supposed to look like. Okay. This is what I'm trying to get. What do you offer in this realm? How is it going to be delivered? And then the biggest, set a limit to the time frame. Because you just met this person and y'all are vibing. It's great. It's good. You want it to end good. So a lot of times we don't tell people, because we start vibing, we don't tell them how long we want it to last, how long we think it should be. People treat it like marriages and relationships, and business is not marriage and relationship. Nope. It ain't supposed to go on forever. Nope. Sometimes it can, sometimes it doesn't though. The person who created Walmart eventually stopped being CEO of Walmart for a reason. Not everything is a legacy business. They have to sometimes pull outsiders in. And because, especially I feel like for Caribbean people and people who are not from this country, we have bigger trust issues. Black people, issues because of how this country treats us.
We do.
We don't know how to ask for that outside help. And we barely want to trust our own because everybody's crabs in a barrel. They're trying to get to the top. I think it's important to set those expectations out clearly. And whether it's in a contract or in an email, this is what I need help with. I need help with A, B, C, and D. Where do you fall in this? What's the time frame for us to get these specific goals delivered? And then the best part is having performance measures. And that's because I did grant writing forever. I was in like federal grants for majority of my career. So because of that, I'm always thinking about the performance measures. How do I know that this is working? So then after you tell the person, this is what my expectations are, where do you fall into this? Here's the time frame that I expect this to be delivered. You set up little check-ins in between. This is if you say, I want this to be delivered in a year, every 90 days, I want to check in with you and see how close we're getting to making sure that this partnership is working for us. And then in those 90 days, if I see something wrong or you see something wrong, let's adjust. Because we already agreed that this is the expectation. This is how you're going to meet the expectation. And we're going to try to accomplish this in a year. So if this is what we're doing, every 90 days, let's meet. Let's discuss where we're at and if it's actually working. So that when that year is over, I'm not mad at you.
Yeah. You followed up. You have your paper trails and so forth. And you have meetings in between.
And Caribbean people, we don't like paper trails.
No. As soon as you say contract.
No. The government's involved. I gotta go.
People's thinking it's big money. You too expensive. God forbid. I mean, this is a friend of mine, right? So it was kind of funny in a way. It didn't have to do with contracts, but the insinuation that they were saying, do you have Nikki G money? And I'm like, it's only $20. Some people like, you know what I mean? I don't know. We could go into a whole new topic about that, but it's really interesting.
They automatically assume that you're big money because you have like a name attached to the thing. And they're like, oh no, it has to be big money because you're doing it this way. I get it.
Yeah, but come on now. I mean, okay, so you mentioned about, the crab in the barrel mentality and, how our people are and stuff like that, right? My thoughts about that. Most times I would say, because like how you say, because of what people went through in this country compared to Caribbean people or whatever the case may be, right? Do you see it justifiable of how Black people act, or I should say our people act between Caribbean people and American people? Is there a difference you see within that? With the cultures and so forth? And it's like a two-part question, and does it in some way impact your company? And what way does it impact? Is it good, bad, or
okay, let's go to the first part again, because I know how to answer the second part, but repeat the first part again.
Right. So the first part is basically, bottom line is how Black people act, how our African American people act, how our Caribbean people act, being that we're colored or whatever. Do you see a difference between the Caribbean community and the American community? And do you think it's because of back in slavery days why people act the way that they act? People say, oh, we don't have no business, we don't do this, all we think about is partying and stuff like that. I don't think that. I know the reason why we might do it, but what is your justification for why people act the way they act?
Okay, so my background in nonprofit is going to make my answer is going to be the gist of the baseline for my answer.
Okay, no problem.
So just know that part.
Yeah.
African Americans are systematically. It's not just, hey, I'm going to call you derogatory names. Hey, you were enslaved. It's systematic racism from redlining to, just like we just heard recently, I was one of the biggest fans of Navy Federal, okay? No one couldn't tell me nothing. I wanted a Navy Federal account like I wanted my next breath. They are the ones denying Black people mortgages and etc. There is literally systematic racism. Are there a selected few who have been able to push through and rise above that? Yes. I feel like as Caribbeans and as foreigners, Africans, anybody who's not dealt with systematic racism, cannot relate well to what the American experience is for Black Americans. And that's where the disconnect happens. Until I worked in the nonprofit field, until I understood systematic racism, I was one of those people too. I was just like, just work harder. Like, we came from another country. We had to learn your language. We had to assimilate to this, and we have business and we have everything. Why can't you? Because with that systematic racism, you're talking about generational psychological warfare on these people. And with them having psychological systematic racism put on them, they've been formatted to think a certain way. It's like being in a house and somebody's telling you, you're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly. For generations, after a while, you think you're ugly. You have a kid, you're going to tell your kid she's ugly. That kid has a kid until somebody tries to break the pattern. And if that person is trying to break that pattern and they're still in the community that knows that this is the ugly family, even if you're saying, I'm the fourth generation in this family and I'm gorgeous, you're still in a community that knows you as the ugly family.
Yeah.
So with that disconnect happening with foreign Black people and American Black people, I think we miss a lot of points in how they function and how they do things. And that point gets missed. And then it ends up looking like we're judging them, or we think they're lazy, and they're looking at us like you came to steal opportunities and you just think that we're not doing anything. I think once you come into this country, you have to kind of understand the history of what you're coming into.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they don't, the other people don't see us as Caribbean Black people, American Black people, African Black people. They just see you as Black.
Yeah.
So with you coming in here and not understanding how the systematic racism works and how the generational abuse of African Americans in this country work, you think that being a Jamaican American, a Jamaican Black person, a Haitian Black person, a Nigerian Black person separates you from that. And America's like, no, it don't. No, it don't. The only difference is because you are as aware and it didn't affect you the same way, you come here and you grind a little bit differently, not harder, differently, because you don't have that oppression that they've experienced all their lives. So there's a lot of, I have to do whatever I got to do to get to the top going on. And in their way, for the African Americans, their way was to always, not to always, they were taught house slave versus plantation slave a lot of times, where if I do sell you out, I might be able to get something better. Not saying that Caribbeans weren't similar, didn't have similar experiences, but it wasn't as long lasting and as systematic, like in the 50s and 40s, where people were still trying to pass as white because they were light enough. You're not going to hear the same thing with us, because instead we're trying to bleach just to match. Like, no, it's not, because we need to be able to get the opportunities in this way that they would need to be able to get a bank account because they're light skinned. The lighter I am, I could get a bank account, versus if I bleach my skin, I'm gonna get a boyfriend. Like, it's not the same. It's not the same experiences. So because we have that disconnect and understanding their experiences, the crab in the barrel mentality is slightly different between the cultures too. The crab in the barrel mentality for African Americans sometimes was built on survival.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes the crab in a barrel for Caribbeans was built on being seen, on the validation, because you were coming into this country, because we had
recognition.
Yes, recognition is so important on our culture. Because I know even as a Haitian kid, I said I was going to be a lawyer forever. I took the LSATs. My dad was proud. Everybody was like, yes. And then I went into marketing and they're like, what is that?
But what made you change? Why, not to cut your statement, but what made you change?
I did this thing called VISTA, which is Volunteers in Service to America. And now looking back, it was a great opportunity. It brought me where I'm at now. But every time I say it out loud, till this day, my family looks at me like, what? Drugs? Because I was getting paid $4 an hour. And we're talking about 2013, 2014.
What?
But that's what you sign up to do. And it's legal. It's Volunteers in Service to America. You get paid at the poverty level of the community that you're serving. It's not a paycheck. It's a living allowance. I had a plan. I was like, if I do VISTA, they're going to put me my student loans in forbearance. They pay off the interest on my student loans that entire year that I'm in Vista. I'm eligible for a federal position. I'm going to get a federal position. That federal position will pay off law school, and I'm good.
Ah.
I had a plan. This was the plan. I knew what I was doing. Okay.
Right.
Then I did my first year of Vista. Then I was asked to be a Vista leader. I was like, oh, that's 2 years. That's more money. Yes. Oh, and they give you the equivalent of a Pell Grant. And you're not volunteering like, oh, I'm at a food pantry stocking things. You're doing capacity building. So you're doing major projects that are supposed to build capacity building and sustainability to alleviate poverty in a specific neighborhood, which is why you're getting paid at the poverty level of that neighborhood. Okay. And being that I'm in Trenton, considered a Trentonian now, apparently, I'm in Trenton, New Jersey. Yeah. So the poverty level here, the line is very low. So I was getting paid like, what is it, $540 every 2 weeks? And I got a kid.
Okay, so is that because I've heard of that before, but I think in Jersey they call it something different. Do you go into that program and stay for 6 months, or is it out of?
No, it's a year, and it's a federal program, so it's nationwide. It's Peace Corps. It's basically Peace Corps, but it's domestic Peace Corps. And there's 3 departments. There's AmeriCorps, there's Vista, and then there's a third one that does disaster relief, and that one is the one for 6 months. 6 months to 10 months, and you go to the locations like when they had Hurricane Trina and stuff like that. You go to those locations and you basically dress like almost in army gear because you're basically rebuilding homes, clearing up debris for 6 to 10 months. Okay. So I did Vista, which is the capacity building corporate level type of things that you do for nonprofits, government agencies, and educational agencies. So my first year, I was with PEI Kids. That's prevention, education, and intervention. They're the ones who actually got Megan's Law passed. So they deal with child sexual abuse. And that's very dear to me. And so I was like, I was their social media marketing manager, and I was their volunteer coordinator. So every time they had this food and wine tasting, I'm the one that gathered all the people to do the food and wine tasting. I marketed it. And then that year that I was there, they made $17,000 more than they'd made in the last 10 years that they were doing it.
My goodness.
So I was like, oh, I'm good at this. And then they also helped me get my citizenship that year too.
Oh,
okay. From doing Vista, because I was like, I'm so active in the community, and made it look even better. Yeah. So once I did that, and they asked me to I wanted to stay with the company so bad. And I never forget this. Roz was like, I see something else for you, and it's not here. And I was like, are you kidding me? I was so heartbroken because I was like, but I love it here and you love me. Why would you? She's still one of my mentors to this day. And she's like, not right now, because there was other people at the time who were stealing my work and trying to pass it off as theirs.
Oh, wow.
I didn't know this, but she wanted to prove that this was what was going on. Mm-hmm. So she's like, the only way she could have proved it is by getting me out of there.
Getting you out. Okay.
And they put me into a Vista leader position. And then when I got to that, the person there was my boss for like for 8 years after that. Saul saw so much in me. Afnan saw so much in me. And I was at the Bonner Foundation, which is this big foundation in Princeton. They have found this foundation is unlike universities all over the country. And they provide scholarships for students based on community service and things that they do to do political science majors, people who are doing different things to kind of like change laws, not just doing community service, but changing laws and lobbying for assistance for the communities in poverty. So I worked in that office for a couple of years, and then they all got their hooks in me. I'm taking my LSATs, and they're like, and I was like, all right, I'm going to take 1 year off, and that's it.
Oh.
Did Vista again. Then they offered me program manager to run Vista for a statewide program.
Oh, so they plugged you in.
Yes. So I went from being a Vista to being a Vista leader to being a program manager, and then an associate director for the entire state.
But did they pay you better by that time?
Yeah, they paid me very, very well.
Okay.
Well, very well compared.
Okay.
Very well to where
you started with the $4. Yeah.
Yes, but they paid me very well. Like by the time I left, my salary was nearly $70 a year. So, and I had full state benefits, and I was still eligible for the federal jobs. That's how I opened up my network, and I fell in love with marketing. I just felt my degree was in psychology. and
Okay.
liberal arts, because as an attorney, you would need to be able to understand the perceptions of how individuals
Mm.
are thinking. And I wanted to be a lawyer since I went to this school called Crown School for Law and Journalism in middle school in New York. So I
Yeah.
used to do summer school at Brooklyn Law School, summer school at Columbia Law School. Nothing was going to stop this path until I got this job. And at that point, my daughter was like, well, Mom, I really don't want you to go back to school anymore, to be honest, because you are always in school. Like, you're never home. So
Yeah.
even when I went to do my master's, I did my master's online just so she didn't have any complaints. And I had to ask her permission, like, so can Mommy get a master's degree? She's like, yes, I guess, because everybody in my family knows I'm a career student. I will go to school before I go to work.
Yeah. That's
So
what I
I
wanted
love
to
school.
ask you. That's what I wanted to ask you. Did you do it online? But if you get the opportunity, even though, I mean, you have to focus and you have to study and so forth. But if you get the opportunity to do what you really wanted to do, would you do it? Because you're saying that you were part of Princeton, they offer political science and so forth. But I know when you have just as I started, when I said when you have a passion, that's what draws you. I've heard of doctors and lawyers and stuff becoming chefs and just doing their passion because that's what keeps them alive, you know? So do you think you would ever turn around and do something like that?
It was a dual passion because the school that I went to was Crown School for Law and Journalism. But when I wanted to do law, I wanted to do entertainment and PR as well. So I wanted to do entertainment law and deal with contracts all day. Because again, I'm a weirdo who likes paperwork. I can read contracts all day and find loopholes in anything. You give me something, I will find a loophole in it. Just let me read it for a few hours.
Okay.
So I think maybe when I'm like 55 and I got money to waste.
But you're on the path. Because remember when I said there's things that you do as a puzzle and it's pieces. So there's a lot of things that you do that'll come together and you never know. You know what I mean? You're already in it. You have, let's say, 20 years or 30 years, not 30 because you're very young. I'd say probably like 15 years or so, or, or you look young, I should say.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. So you never know when that, path might cross where you might probably say, well, let me do this because you're already in the business aspect of it,
Yeah. So, I mean, I always tell people, I joke about it all the time. I was like, once I have enough money to pay for it, I will do it. But if I tell you I'm going to go get another set of student loans for that, I'm already $140,000 in debt with these student loans. I'm not getting another one. It got to a point where I was like, I'm going to go take 6 art credits just so you guys don't try to get your money back. I'm going to go take 6 art credits because as long as you have 6 credits, they can't try to get the money back. I was like, I'm going to go take a painting class and a drawing class because I like art, okay? And then so now you're going to be an artist? Anything to not give you this money back. Anything to not pay you back right now. That one is the least stressful I could think of taking. So it was to the point where I'm like, I'm going to become an art major because I don't want to give you the money back. And law school starts at about $150,000. That's what I owe. So it really is right now a financial reason that I wouldn't go to law school. That's the only reason that I wouldn't reconsider and go back. Okay. But the way I love marketing and the way that there's so much legal aspects to marketing, no matter how, I tell people this all the time because once we get to that part, but my dad's thing took such a toll on me. So no matter how messed up I am mentally, I could have been sitting in a puddle of tears for 2 days. If you be like, my Instagram is not getting followers, what do I need? I'd be like, did you try posting this type of reel? Did you try making a carousel? Hold on, let me make one. I can never be too hungry, too depressed, too broke. Come up with a marketing idea for you. I'm never too messed up to come up with a marketing idea. And even with the event staffing thing, I can be pissed off. I quit my job every day. And I'm the owner of the company. You can't quit your own company. That's true. I quit it. Every event makes me quit. Every event. I'm like, this is my last event. You will not see me at none of these things anymore. And my staff be like, we got it. You don't even have to be here. I don't know why you're here. And then I come in and be like, move that table over. It's not supposed to be there. And they're like, did you not go home? I was like, I did, but I came back. So those 2 things, I just love them so much that I know that right now, this is where I need to be. And in the future, when those two things make me enough money, because I do want to be able to, I love helping people. Service, I always tell people service is my love language. So no matter what I do, as long as I know I am in service, I'm serving my community, I'm serving my clients, I'm extremely satisfied with that. I'm content, I'm happy. That's where my joy lies. That's where my passion lies. So whether I'm servicing through marketing, I'm servicing through law, I'm servicing through coordinating your event, because I am not an event planner. Even though people think I am, I tell them all the time, don't put me in that category.
Yeah.
Because I have a level of respect for event planners that I don't want to be compared with what I do to what they're doing. They take a lot of time to do what they do. So I don't want to take that away from them. But coordinating and making sure everything runs smoothly the day of, right before the event, yeah, I can do that in my sleep.
Yeah. All right. So it's amazing. I mean, if you guys are now tuning in, there was so much information that JiJi mentioned. And I just want you to know that you could tune in if you're driving. You could tune into islandvibes.net. You could also see it on YouTube on Island Vibe. You could also see it on Table Talk Show with Nikki G, the voice. JiJi is the CEO of her own company, which is Well Plug Services. It's a family brand. We're going to take a short break. We're going to get into the news about her father. It's been a couple of years now. And, when we get back, I will tell you what we're going to talk about. And JiJi, I just want, before we jump into, with your dad and so forth, I just want you to give everyone well, actually, I have a question for you. If you have to, like, what advice would you give your younger self now that you're here? Because after you said, you quit your job so many times and this, and you have so many different experiences and all that, what advice would you give your younger self if you have to look back and you see your younger self coming up into this industry and for all that you know, what would you say?
Trust yourself. Don't listen to nobody. Don't let them stop you again. Trust yourself. If this is how you want to do something, do it exactly the way you said you were going to do it. Don't let nobody tell you to do things differently when you know better. Don't try to please everybody all the time. It's not even that serious. They might be pleased with your idea better than they would be pleased with their own, and they just don't know it because you won't open your mouth. So I would tell my younger self to not be so scary and not be such a people pleaser, not be so scared to tell people that that's a bad idea. Trust yourself more, and don't always be so vulnerable in telling people that you don't trust yourself. No, just go ahead and fake it till you make it. Fake the confidence, fake the whole you know what you're doing thing, because it's not necessarily fake. You do know what you're doing. Step into the light. Stop being afraid to be in the front runner, because that was the biggest thing with me. I was like, I'm not the face of Well Plug. Well Plug has its own face. I plan on selling this company in 20 years when it's like worth $5 million and then relaxing on the beach. So don't put my face on nothing. I don't want to be seen. I'm in the background, which is why half the time nobody knew I was the owner. And then my friend was like, oh, put CEO on your chest at least if you're going to do all that. So I would start putting CEO on my chest so people could know I own the company, guys. I'm not just a worker. I know I'm taking out the trash, but and there's 12 other people here and I chose to take out the trash. But what happened is I chose to take out the trash. That's all that matters. So I would tell my younger self to know, no, you are the face. You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And don't be humble about it. It is what it is. Yes, you are one of the smartest people in the room. And so it is what it is. Flex it. Go ahead and tell them that this is what you do proudly, confidently, charge your worth, write everything down, put it in the contracts that you know exist and are good for you. And do what's best for you first and foremost, no matter what, and just run with it. I would definitely tell myself to just flex, because that was one of my biggest mistakes in life. I never wanted to flex after a while. I was just so, I don't want no one to look at me and think this, and oh no, let me be humble, let me be unique. It's not good to, no, flex, because you have it. And by being modest and meek, you let everybody kind of control things, control the narratives, tell you like this is how it should be done and it was wrong, or take things from you and then build it on their own. So many things went wrong because I kept trying to, I'm not sure, maybe this is how they want things. It's about the people. It's about the people. I love service and I want to be of service, But the reason I am of service to you is because I know what I'm doing. I can't be of service
and not know.
No,
Yeah,
you're not going to
yeah.
go to the surgeon and tell him, look, for you to cut open my heart, I want you to go through my arm. And he's going to be like, all right, sure. Yeah, I'm going to do heart surgery through your left arm. I got it. No. So you can't come to me and be like, yeah, I have 200 people at this event, but I only need one bartender and one server. No, you don't. Or I know how to do my Instagram already. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not posting this. I want to do it this way. I'm going to post this video of us and it's unclear and there's no background and there's no website on it. And this is how I'm doing it because everybody else who's trending is doing that. Did you pull your analytics to see if that actually is going to work for you? Because the people that are doing that, their analytics told them to do that. What are your analytics telling you to do? So I realized that a lot of times people know what they're doing because they saw. I know what I'm doing because I read, I have the experience, I took the classes, I paid the money for the degrees to do it, and I'm really just I know what I'm doing. I'm that girl, like, and I'm not hiding it no more. That's it. Oh, and the other question that we never got to too. How does the crabs in the barrel thing affect your business? My business personally.
Yeah.
A lot of times, because of what I just said, like a lot of times, it does make it hard for me to trust people. Like even with my business shower, I got scared to actually promote the fact that I had a registry. And with my registry, I was like, hey, if I put all the things I actually need, are people going to see it and be like, oh, I could do this myself and buy all my products for themselves and now go around and be like, we don't need to hire Well Plug no more because we know what So I'm going to just I didn't even put half the things I actually need. I just put gift cards on there. I was like, I'll buy it myself. So I realized that afterwards, I was like, dang, I didn't do what I wanted to do because I'm so afraid that somebody's going to steal my ideas when it comes to certain things. And a lot of times that holds me back. Okay. One thing that someone that used to coach me in the past, she was actually a realtor. Her name is Lillian. She lives in Trenton. One thing she told me one time when I was flipping out because somebody completely stole everything word from word and did not want to give me no credit for it. When I tell you, like, I did the best marketing plan for this person.
Oh no.
I built them, and this person was one of the reasons that Well Plug even got started. But when they went off into the night with all of the stuff that they had, never wanted to give me credit for anything. And behind the scenes, everybody just saw it. And then one time I actually like did something, and then someone who noticed it was like, put it on Facebook, was like, I hope you're gonna give her credit because she did everything. And I was like, oh my God. And it started a big rift. And it was actually somebody I was dating at the time. And we ended up breaking up. And that was one of the reasons that we argued about.
Yeah.
She told me, why are you so upset? And I was like, well, because he stole my idea. Like, I don't even want to do this no more. I'm not going to launch. I'm not doing nothing. I don't care. And this was like back in 2017, 2018. She was like, it's your idea. You don't have any other ideas? And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, that was the only idea you've ever gotten? You're not going to come up with another idea? You a one hit wonder? You mad because you're a one hit wonder? The only reason you would be this upset is because you're a one hit wonder. And I was like, I'm not a one hit wonder.
You think? Yeah. I
mean, she's like, only a one hit wonder is going to get that mad. So they stole your idea. Come up with another one. They can never manage your idea the way you manage your idea because it's your idea. They're going to take it. They're going to make it their own. They're going to format it the way they want to. And it may or may not work for them, but who cares? They take one thing from you, come up with another one. 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 And that mentality, sometimes every once in a while, I'll miss out on it. But that mentality kind of stuck with me. So now I don't really get as big mad as I used to get. I might frown a little bit. I'll have like a day or two where I'm like, oh man, that's kind of messed up. I thought we were friends.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm like, I'll come up with another one.
You just keep it moving. Yeah.
And then every time I come up with another one, I remembered how you stole that one. So now I put another barrier. I set another boundary. So you can't do that to me again.
Yeah.
But I'm going to come up with another one. So I think that's the biggest thing that we have to think about. We get so upset about the crabs in a barrel thing and about people taking from us and people having the ability to kind of like, oh, they took my idea. They can't take your sauce. You're the secret ingredient.
Exactly. They can't take you as a person and what you have inside. And that's why I asked if anyone, or from your experience, of people sabotaging you or taking something from you, your
All the time.
experience alone will tell you, listen, I'm not going there. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z so this doesn't happen again. And I actually watched a show last night, this girl called Vida. That's not the name of the show, but the name of the artist is called Vida. And she lived in England. She's Jamaican heritage. And it was a whole thing of, she was behind her brother and stuff like that, helping him out. And then all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but she was talented herself, right? Later down the line, she met this guy. She said she didn't want to be with him anymore, whatever. He told her, you can use my music. The day of her premiere, she had 5 songs to sing. And one of her friends said, listen, you're Vida. You could do whatever you want to do. Right? And she came up with a song, premiered it. She was at odd ends with her brother. He came up, made it a smash hit. And the same thing, when you said one hit wonder, it reminded me of that.
Yeah, because that's the thing. You can't, people are going to steal. That's what they've been stealing since Jesus.
Yeah.
They've been stealing since Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Come on now. Cain killed Abel. You have to realize at some given point, you're going to get betrayed.
Yes.
It's going to hurt. You're going to cry. You're going to feel broken. Give yourself time to grieve. Then dust it off and come up with something else.
Keep on going. Yes. Yeah.
Because people are going to betray you.
Yeah.
I've been getting betrayed all year. Like, people are going to betray you. It is what it is. And of course it hurts. It hurts bad. I throw shots. I'm not mature yet. I will throw shots. But I'm working on that.
Yeah.
But after that, I'm going to continue moving on. I'm going to build it back up. I'm going to make something new come up. So that's part of my rebrand. My rebrand is, okay, I see where I went wrong, because I always ask myself, what did you do to get here? Because while we're talking about crabs in a barrel, for you to have that, you were in the barrel too. Why were you in the barrel for the crabs to pull you back down? You have to ask yourself that. Fine, the crabs pulled me back down. How did I get in the barrel? So I always analyze myself in that sense, where I say, okay, I got in the barrel. Why was I in that particular barrel? How do I get out the barrel before the crabs see me and pull me back down? And then once I do that, then I say, okay, all right, it is what it is. Because if they're all in the barrel, they're all trying to get out. They're going to get out by any means necessary. I really need to ask myself, why did I let myself get caught in the barrel to begin with?
Yeah. But that's life. That's life in itself. That's experience. It builds you, right? It builds character. And the best survive is what I say,
And it's not for everybody. Everybody does not have that mentality. Everybody's not going to understand it. And that's the other thing. Like, one of my coaches, she's also a pastor. She said, this is my year to execute. She's like, I've been hearing you talk for years about all the things you want, but you're always too scared. She's like, Noah, when he had to build the ark, everybody thought he was crazy. Imagine if your Noah was your cousin and he walked into your house. You're calling your auntie like, is Noah okay? Did he hit his head? I know he was helping you with something. Did he fall off the ladder? You're not going to think it makes sense. But when God gives you a vision, it's only for you. He ain't tell Moses to build an ark to get across the Red Sea.
Exactly.
Obviously, God knew how to build arks by then. Why Moses had to part the Red Sea and not put everybody in the ark and build the ark to get across it?
Yeah.
Moses got to part the Red Sea. Noah got the ark. Daniel got the lion's den. Everybody has their own thing. So whatever's for
their
you,
own path.
It's going to be for you no matter who steals the trees off of it, no matter who takes the wheels off the car, they take the engine, they take the brakes. I bet you're going to have to Fred Flintstone that car and get it across the way. Whatever you got to do, it's going to happen because it's yours.
It's yours,
so
but you have to have
it like that.
You have to have the confidence and build that confidence in order to make it yours.
Yes.
And know that it's yours.
Yes.
In order to keep on going. I just have one thing to say before I go to break. Kirsch said that JiJi is amazing. She's phenomenal. She's a phenomenal businesswoman.
Oh, thank you.
And you're getting some positive energy over here where people saying you're fantastic, you're a well-spoken person, you know a lot. One person said they met you, what? On TikTok and they were drunk or something like that. So I'm gonna take us out to break real quick. It's amazing how 2 hours could pass by because a whole
I know,
hour
because I remember I was like, I got 30 minutes. I don't think I can talk to you.
pass by. But that's why I say it's a pleasure. You know, everything that you're saying so far, I know it's helping someone out there. JiJi spoke about the Peace Corps, the American Corps. You have volunteer services. What's that? Vista Peace Corps. You had
Yeah,
mentioned.
Vista is basically domestic Peace Corps. And it's crazy because every 5 minutes somebody's asking me to come back. As a matter of fact, I am, for the fourth time in a row, the New Jersey governor's office of volunteerism. I have been doing their social media marketing for nonprofit training and workshops at the governor's conference for volunteerism. So this is the fourth time in a row that they've asked me to come back. So this year I'm doing it on how nonprofits can maximize LinkedIn, because my entire career was built around nonprofit marketing. It's now that I'm trying to transition to business marketing instead of nonprofit marketing, because it's nonprofit and it's nonprofit.
But I must say this, I have to have you back based on this, because I know, I mean, my show is basically built on, you know, people who doing household, you know, their companies from the house and so forth, you know. So I'd love to have you back so you could share more about your business. We want to get into the news about your dad, Edna. I'll take a short, quick break, and then we'll come back. We want you to give your handles again before that, when we come back after break. All right?
No problem.
Keep it locked to Island Vibe Radio, islandvibe.net, and Table Talk Show with Nikki G, the voice.
Broadcasting live from Philadelphia, Island Vibe, Philly's newest and hottest station.
Welcome to Table Talk. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and iTunes.
Own it, girl, you just own it. Cause your body's on fire. Show me how to control it.
Table Talk Show is now on Island Vibes Radio. You can catch us every Saturday from 10 to 12 p.m. Log on to Island Vibes Philly or islandvibe.net.
When we outside, it's an ocean of love. All that we align to the stars up above. Let we dance now, take a chance now with me. And we go jump till morning. Look, the moon gone sleeping. Tell them we not leaving till the last drop of a canal is madness in the capital. So I feel like I run in tongue again. Jump and shake the ground again. Wave with all my friends and them. No place like home. 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 I feel like I run in tongue again. Jump and shake the ground again. Wave with all my friends and them. No place like home. 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 We go jump till the moon come down. As we who the stars shine on. Play a mass and break away. Freedom in we DNA. Boy, yeah, yeah, yeah. Boy, yeah. Tell myself I ain't going nowhere tonight. I don't feel the vibe, I deal with the wife. Friendship blowing up my line. Rum on the mind, the street of my line. I say, brother, man, I good. I share. Don't people nobody in the space. It's a end line, me love just pass you and show your face. But now I'm drunk in the people place. Jamming. You could see the rum on the face. Jamming.
Welcome back, everyone, to islandvibe.net. This is Nikki G, the voice. You're on Table Talk Show with my guest, JiJi, who is the CEO of Well Plugged Services. She gave us a wealth of information, and, it's just so much that, to intake and so forth. Just remember, you could go back and see from the beginning, see the show, and I'm going to have JiJi back on again at some point in order for her to talk about her business. And it's 2 businesses you have, correct?
Well, it's one business and 2 subsidiaries. Think of it like the way Apple is. Apple has iPhones, iMac. So WellPlug has Dijinnects, and then we have the event staffing plug. So no matter what, there's always a plug involved somewhere or some type of connecting.
All right. Okay, Dijinnects. All right, awesome. And could you give them your websites again so they would know where to reach you, how to reach you, the time, and so forth?
It's www.wellplugservices.com. Our website is constantly under construction because I'm not satisfied with it. When we were talking about people stealing from us, somebody stole from me like $900 to make my website a few years ago. Mind you, I do websites, but I didn't want to do my own because I wanted a specific way that I don't have the skills for yet. And then now I'm doing it and I still don't have it the way I want it. So it's not a big thing to me yet, but I'm getting coaching from Tamika, who's an amazing web designer. So my website will be great eventually. But and you can also reach us at info@Wellplug Services, bookings at Wellplug Services. I'm quicker to answer the phone though. So it's 609-686-5304. You'll catch me on the phone before you catch me on anything else.
All right, perfect. All right, so we're moving on to JiJi's dad. JiJi's dad died. What year was that he passed away?
2022.
2022. Okay. And that was September of 2022 or August?
It was August 28th.
Okay, August 28th. Okay. So her dad's name is Edna Monosier. Right. Edgar Monosier. Channel 10 had covered the news back in January the 3rd. He was at Miami-Dade County, North Miami. On the report, the reporter is Ian Margold, and the digital creator was Andrea Torres. Her dad was at the hospital, and the day that he died, they took him out of the hospital. The hospital doesn't have a morgue, so they basically transferred him from the hospital to the morgue, and somewhere in between there, something happened, all right? Yeah, something happened. So, JiJi, I just want to get by, we just have a couple of minutes, so I just want to get a brief history of your family, where you came from and so forth, and then we could just go into what happened to your dad before his death.
Okay, so my dad actually is my dad has like a good 9 to 11 kids. We're always like confused about which one we were gonna go with for that one. But the way it was is that he was from Haiti, where our family is Haitian. My dad, from what he told us growing up, is Arabic and French descent, and then his family came to Haiti. His great-grandparents came to Haiti as tailors and whatnot, and then they built up their empire and money through different businesses in Haiti. My dad himself was an agronomist. He studied soil, and he was very big on giving back to the poor. And he was a part of the UN's initiative back in the 70s and 80s to build up agriculture in Haiti and to plant trees in rural areas that would actually be able to feed the people. So his big thing was actually going to the rural areas and trying to teach them how to properly run the water for irrigation, kind of like what we're doing with the canal right now in Haiti, but to kind of run the irrigation to the soil a certain way to be able to irrigate their land better so that they can have better crops. So he was trying to teach the poor communities in the provinces on how to properly farm so they don't have to go to the market and buy, especially in some provinces didn't realize what kind of food that their particular soil could grow the best. So with him going to Israel for a few years and studying agriculture and soil, which is what agronomists do, they're basically agricultural engineers, and they figure out how to maneuver and manipulate soil for the growth of specific types of plants. So that's basically what my dad did. And then he met my mom. They got married. Prior to that, he had already had 3 sons, one of which was born in Israel that we've never met. Because my dad used to joke around and say he never slept in the same bed twice.
What?
It's always his favorite joke. We'd be like, why do you have so many kids? He's like, I don't sleep in the same bed twice.
What? Rolling Stones.
Right. So my dad is a joker. That's where I got my personality from as well. And my mom's a joker too. Like we're incapable of taking anything serious. We can try our best to, but unless there's money involved, that's the only time we get somewhat serious. It's the Capricorn. But
Capricorn too. So I know.
The only thing Capricorns take serious is money. My Capricorn, my dad's a Capricorn. I'm surrounded by them.
Yeah.
So my dad is just like, okay, I didn't sleep in the same bed twice, but he always said, like, you know, my mom was this, then a third, and she was like a virgin and whatever, and she told him he had to pay off her tuition before they even went on a date. So he ended up marrying her, and she passed away when I was about 18 months old. And my other mom, her sister and her looked exactly alike. Haitians don't like to tell you their business, no matter what. So it's not like they told me she was dead at first. They just said, your mom went to America, and then shipped me off to America. Oh my God. And then so when I got a lot older, I was like, yeah, what happened now? They're like, yeah, no, she passed away. I was like, oh, I didn't know that because I thought that was my mom. They look exactly alike. So I really did not know for a long time. And she was the bomb too. She passed away from breast cancer when I was 16. Yeah. But my dad moved to America, and he just had a lot going on. In America, it wasn't the same as Haiti because he was involved in, unfortunately, the Papa Doc and Baby Doc administration of Haiti. That was his government agencies that he loved so much. So when that government went down in Haiti, he had to come to America and migrate to America with a lot of his children. Some of his children, I think only one of his children was actually born in America. But for the most part, I still have 2 sisters in Haiti. I know from what he told me, he had a set of twins that passed away, which leads us to 9 kids. So I have 3 older brothers and 5 younger sisters.
All right. And Vanessa is here?
Yes, Vanessa's in America. She is the baby.
Okay.
And the only child that he actually raised as far as living with him, because she came to America when she was 4, and he raised her. And then my other sister, Edleen, is in America as well. She came in maybe during the pandemic. She came to America and ended up staying in America. I have my other, and she's the one right after me. And then I have my other sister, Stephanie, Kimberly, who are still in Haiti, and another sister named Sabrina, who's also in America.
Okay. All right. So your dad, what transpired? What happened that made him, made everything happen?
Well, for one, my dad is a lover, let him tell it. So he's obsessed with always being married or like getting a girlfriend. And then his last wife, I think they were like separating or whatever. They was going through a lot, and she wasn't really able to take care of him. Plus she was younger and she was working a lot. So my dad kept getting sick. When he caught COVID in 2020, we actually were flying down there, and it took a major toll on, especially Vanessa, again, because she's the one who lived with him the longest. Okay. So she lived with him since she was 4 years old. From Haiti, she moved out here. Her mom is still in Haiti, and the only parent she's ever known has been my father. So with that being said, me and Vanessa took a lot of trips during the pandemic to go to see my dad. At the time, we weren't even allowed in the hospital, and we were able to get him a personal nurse through one of my friends, and she helped nurse him back to health and gave him a lot of like things to help him out. But my dad is a diabetic prior to catching COVID, the first time he had about 3 strokes.
Mm-hmm.
So COVID really messed up his lungs badly, even though he recovered. Once he recovered, he started to show signs of dementia as well, and couldn't remember a lot of things and was just like completely off with a lot. And my dad is an emotional man. It's very weird because my moms are not. Everybody always says that. They're like, your moms have no feelings. They have feelings, but if they show you their feelings, you need to be surprised. But my dad, on the other hand, my dad is one of the few men I know who will cry in front of you, in front of his children. He has no problem. He's like, no, men have emotions. That's why I have that perception, because my dad believes that men have emotions and it is okay for you to show them. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. So as manly and as strict, well, not strict in my eyes anyways, as manly and as rigid as my dad was, my dad would cry so much and talk about his father. And my dad's also a twin. He has about 5 other siblings besides his twin sister.
Okay.
They were all, and him and his twin have a love-hate relationship. They're very close, but then they fight a lot, like most siblings do. But even with her being a doctor in another, she had gotten her medical degree, I think either in Paris or Dominican Republic or something like that. She can't practice medicine here. She was keeping up with a lot of the disarray that was going on with my father. So we had to, at some point, we were sending Uber Eats to him. And because a part of my family apparently is Jewish.
Okay.
Somewhere in the timeline. In the ancestry. So we were able to talk to the Jewish Foundation to send him food as well. So they were sending him meals and meal prep because he was he takes insulin every day. And between the COVID and how it ruined one of his lungs, the past strokes, the dementia, the diabetes, he was deteriorating somewhat. We tried to get our dad to move up here. He came up for Thanksgiving in 2021. And that was the first time I got to really serve my dad. I cooked for him when I would go visit him in Florida, and he always tells everybody, JiJi taught me how to, because my dad cannot cook at all. He's very spoiled. He's used to women, he always gets married or finds a woman.
They're into him. Yeah.
Yes. And I was raised in that type of mentality where it's a form of love for you to make sure that the men in the house do not enter the kitchen or touch the stove. So with my dad, he's learning he asked me to teach him how to cook the last time one of the times I went to visit him, because he's like, no one's feeding me. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna teach you how to make the simplest thing. You're gonna learn how to make Alfredo, okay? So now he tells everybody, my daughter taught me how to make chicken Alfredo. So that's the only thing I eat, chicken Alfredo and plantains. I was like, you can't eat chicken Alfredo with plantains. That doesn't go together.
That's a Caribbean thing. Everything is plantains or peas.
All right. So my guy was eating chicken Alfredo with plantain, apparently. Those are 2 things he could make. So when he started to deteriorate after he came to visit us. And I got the opportunity to serve my dad, because in Haitian culture and a lot of Caribbean cultures, there's a certain way that you set a table for us when we're feeding a man or when we're feeding guests. Where you put the sauce in a bowl, or rice in a bowl,
everything's separate.
Bowl. You cut the fruits up. I did it really nice for him, and that was really cool. And he started crying again. He's like, nobody's done this for me, and I don't even know how long. This is how your mom used to set the table. And I was like, all right, that's where I learned it. And it was really cool. Once he went back to Florida, I think, if I remember correctly, he fell trying to see his sister in the train station, and everything just went left from there. And then he had a whole crisis where my other sister, Adeline, had to go to his house and get the ambulance. It was to the point where he was so off that he was like, where are you taking me? My dad is waiting for me and my sister to go home, and I can't find him. If I get home past curfew, I'm going to get beaten, and I need to get home. And we're like, Daddy, your dad's been dead for 20 years. What are you talking about? So at that point, we were like, okay, it's gone. So with him not having care at home, he was put into a nursing home. And we were still trying our best to monitor it. But with my sister being new to America and not understanding a lot, my brother is in Boston. My other brother was incarcerated. We've never even met the one in Israel. Vanessa's up here. Sabrina had a lot going on in her life. I guess she's a nurse and she has kids and all that stuff. So
everyone was far distant. Yeah.
Vanessa was doing her best to keep up. My brother went to go see my dad one day and realized that my dad was having a stroke at the nursing home, and no one was paying attention.
Yeah.
And we don't know how many strokes he had that day. So they took him to the hospital, and then they tested him and found out. And then we got a notification from the nursing home saying that one of the nurses had COVID. and the patients were exposed. So that day he was supposed to be getting a trach put in, and he could not get the trach put in because he could not swallow anymore. Instead of getting the trach put in, they had to take him in for something out, treat him for COVID. And with the second COVID, it went completely left. He was in a coma now because he was already not being able to swallow. He was already depressed because he's in the nursing home. And my dad's a people person. He's not
that
like me.
alone would have you depressed. Yeah.
Yes. My dad had more friends than there are cities in America at this point, because it's like anywhere he goes, even when he came to visit us in Trenton, he was like, take me to the Haitian neighborhood. I know somebody knows me. And I was like, he's like, I'm famous. I'm telling you, I'm famous. And I'm like, no one knows you. And lo and behold, somebody
will show up.
Even when he was like, take me to Philly. I bet you somebody knows me. The owner of Red Wine is like, yeah, no, I grew up with your dad. I'm like, everybody knows you. He's like, I'm telling you, I'm famous. You just don't realize it. I'm famous. So he was so funny and so cool. So when I went, so my sister told me he had a heart attack and she was flipping out. And I'm kind of the calm one in the family for the most part. I'm really good at controlling my emotions for periods of time. I'll let them loose eventually, but in the moment, I can control it. So I went down to Florida and saw my dad, and I didn't recognize him. And my dad is vain.
Yeah. That's after he passed.
This was before he passed. So when we went to the hospital and I didn't barely recognize him, and I know how vain this man is, I was like, his lips were cracked. It was horrible. I was like, ooh, let me tell my sisters to come down. I don't think he's going to survive this time. And they're like, we haven't had any brain activity for some time. So I'm talking to him, and I know things that get on his nerves that he'll react to. So I'm like calling him old. And I'm like, look at you looking wrinkled. Ew.
Trying to get a reaction.
Making fun of him. And usually he'll react and be like, and nothing was happening. And I was like, okay, no, he's gone. Because he's not going to let me talk to him like that. He's going to react. So nothing, when I saw there was no reaction, my sisters and my brothers came down and we made the decision to pull the plug. I suggested it and told everybody that, listen, he's not going to make it. I've already been through this multiple times with my mom and everything like that. So I know what it's like when someone is on their deathbed. I'm always the one around in my mom's side of the family when someone dies. I'm always the one finding bodies or whatever the case may be. So I'm used to death. Death doesn't bother me that much. And I was like, guys, we got to pull the plug. So we all agreed to pull the plug. We got him a bedside hospice. It was on the 27th at 11 something when we left the hospital. 6 hours later, my sister got a call. They said that he passed away. I was in Florida at the time, and I was like, oh, maybe I should go to the hospital and monitor it. But I know my siblings are always like, I am a micromanager sometimes when it comes to like things like that. When it comes to hospitals, I'm a micromanager. I'm always like asking too many questions and doing a little too much. And I was already micromanaging the night before. And even my uncle was like, calm down. I was like,
that's a business side of you.
I need to know who's liable for certain things. So I didn't go to the hospital to watch the body get taken away. We went to the funeral home. We spoke to some people. Then 2 weeks later, we came down for the funeral. It was a lot going on, hustle and bustle. We're not from Florida. The funeral home was chosen by my dad's favorite cousin because the funeral home people knew my dad from Haiti. One of the guys was telling us that my dad taught him how to ride a bike and all this cool thing. So we felt trustworthy. We didn't even really, at that point, we're a little distraught. I'm not paying as much attention. I'm trying not to be as extra as I usually am, according to everybody else. So I'm like, oh, well, since they know my dad from Haiti and everybody's really cool, there's no reason that I need to really like follow up too much and be around about this. When we came back for the funeral, a lot of things kept going wrong that day. My sister, Vanessa, missed her flight. So she had the suit. We had to go buy another suit. And we made sure it was the same exact suit that we had picked because my dad's favorite color was white. So we put the white suit. We gave him the white suit, but he has specific jewelry that he wears a certain way. And we all had those jewelries. And we were like, all right, let me put his jewelry on myself because I know how he wants the jewelry put on. So the night before, we were waiting for like 3 hours in the heat to be able to see the body to put the jewelry on him. When I saw the body, it was not my dad.
So this was how many days after he passed away?
Let's see. This was September 9th because he passed away on the 28th.
Okay.
I flew out the 29th and then I flew back in like the 24th or 25th. And then on September 9th, I asked to see the body because the funeral would be on September 10th.
Okay.
So when I went to go see it, I was like, oh, this is not my dad. The man was like 5'10". My dad is 6'4". The man was really dark skinned. My dad is slightly light, minus the Florida sun and diabetes doing to him. But my dad was like fairly light. And it looked nothing like my dad. Like my dad has, the only thing dark on my dad somewhat is his he had like little hairs on his eyebrows that were slightly dark. But my dad has been gray, all gray for a long time. And then in the hospital, clearly they're not going to dye his hair. So when I went to go see him, everything was gray as normal. So I was like, this what y'all dyed his hair? Why is he bald? My dad had a full head of hair. He was not going bald. He had a full head of curly hair and everything like that. And this man, you could tell that the follicles, there was no follicles at the top. Right. There was no follicles on the side. So I'm like, this is not my dad. So I got really emotional at that moment. And I'm usually, because I'm the one that controls my emotions, once I got emotional, my siblings went completely crazy too, because I walked out. Because I knew how much money I had just spent. At the time, I wasn't even working. I had just started a new job a few weeks before my dad died, like maybe 3 weeks before. I started my job on August 8th. My dad died on the 28th. So 20 days into a brand new job, my father passes away. And now I'm in Florida, and then this happens. This is not even the body. So I'm like, I spent all this money on the funeral because at the time we didn't know if he had life insurance. So we paid out of pocket for everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just spent all this money on this funeral, and then this is not even the man in the casket. Then they're like, oh, well, no, blah, blah, blah. They're like, look at the toe tag, look at the wristband. When they looked at that and it didn't match, I completely lost my shit and walked out of the funeral home and was like, yeah, I started screaming, cursing, and everything. And once my family saw that, they went crazy because I don't react that way usually.
Yeah. But what do you mean it didn't match? So whose name did it have on it when you
we
say
never were able to see, because by that point, once they realized that, they kind of locked us out.
So they had a name, but they never divulged who the name was.
No.
And then
the toe tag was my dad. One of the toe tag was my dad, but the wristband from the hospital was not.
So if oh wow.
So when we left from there, I called the funeral home directors. I was talking to them, and they was like, no, we don't make those type of mistakes. I'm going to call the hospital, blah, blah, blah. I called my cousin. I'm like, they're like, you guys are emotional right now. Maybe you don't recognize him. I have my dad's face. I look at this face every day. Yeah. I know what the man looks like. All of my sisters, we all look exactly alike. You can always tell who I'm actually related to, because my dad has this weird cleft chin. Yeah. I didn't see the cleft in his chin. I didn't see nothing that makes me know that that's my dad. And we all have the same chin and facial bone structure because we all have my dad's chin.
Yeah. So nobody remembered what they might have seen, the name on the...
We got, that's one of the reasons why I'm so big on controlling my emotions more now than I am ever before. Because if I hadn't lost my shit in that moment, if I hadn't,
you would have been able to get the...
in that moment. Yeah. Because I was just so filled with rage, because it took so much that week to get everything together. And we was already doing a lot of in-family arguing and stuff like that happens at funerals all the time. Yeah. And it was already a mix of trying to find his wife to get his paperwork. They had given up his apartment with all his documents. Things were in storage that we didn't put in. We couldn't even get everything together the way we wanted to. So I was so frustrated and angry in that moment. Like, where's his body? That I didn't even pay attention to that. And I left my siblings in there. And because I'm flipping out, they're flipping out, because no one's ever seen me that mad. I very rarely get enraged. Yeah. So once that happened, we called them and told them, don't bring the body to the funeral the next day. We're going to have a memorial service. I will order some stuff from Staples. I got posters made on Staples and said, these are the posters I'm going to use instead of bringing the body. The next morning when I went over there to talk to somebody, because we were supposed to have, the repast at the funeral home and a viewing. I said, we're not doing a viewing. We're not doing anything. And they were having a funeral at a Catholic church. So Catholic churches don't allow you to open the casket. I said, we're not doing none of this stuff. We're going to cancel everything. That night when I had already told my sister, because everybody was like, don't tell Vanessa, because Vanessa temper is as bad as mine's. Mine's rarely comes out. So they say I take things too far. Vanessa takes them out immediately.
Extremely, yeah.
Yeah, so she's the immediate reaction. Me, I'm the long-term, you're going to deal with this for a long time, and I'm going to take it way too far person. Yeah, yeah. So they don't like the combination of me and Vanessa together, because it doesn't always go too good. Yeah. And then you add Lean to the mix, and then my brother Edson to the mix, and it's just done.
But that's your father. So it's like, how do they expect you to react? But I'm just gonna say this in for lack of time that we have right now and so forth. They actually got the DNA. Yes. Right? And they had my samples DNA and my aunt's. Right. So they got DNA dental records saying that the results was negative and it wasn't your father.
Right.
right? From what I read. So
Yes.
after having all that, still, I mean, what is going on? What is the
So
state
right
supposed to do
now
about this?
we have no body still. It's been over a year.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't identified the chain of custody as and at least explained to us where the chain of custody may have gone wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The funeral home maintains its innocence. The Federal Bureau of Funeral Home Investigations in Florida investigated the funeral home and said that they were not found guilty of any mishaps. However, they did use a third party company to pick up the body.
Okay.
So we are in the middle of dealing with a criminal and civil legal matters,
Yeah.
litigations to kind of figure out who's at fault because the chain of custody for the body has not been identified yet. Not at least not identified and communicated to the family. So we
Okay.
don't know who the person was that was in the casket. From what we understand, the police is investigating that as a homicide at the moment from the last time that I spoke to them, because
Yeah.
no one knows how that person passed away or how they ended up in the casket. And no one knows who that person's family is. So
That
that's the
is,
other thing that's making this really weird is that we have a body that's
and they don't
unidentified.
know. Yeah, because from what I read, they said that there's only one person that died, so it should have been your father.
Correct. Because
Yeah.
the hospital maintains that although it's a teaching hospital, that
Mm-hmm.
it does not have a morgue. And I'm not certain about Florida laws, but I know in New Jersey, for you to be a teaching hospital, you have to have a morgue or you have to outsource to a morgue nearby.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, the hospital also has the first floor is used for prisoners from the local prison in the
Okay.
local jails. So the first floor of the hospital is where they keep inmates. So we didn't know that until we got to the hospital. So there's a
Oh.
lot of loopholes and missing things going on that we're not sure. And
Mm-hmm.
from what the news is saying and from what the lawyers are explaining to us,
Mm-hmm.
they believe that there may have been a mistagging of the body. We're not sure on which route or which who had the custody of the body when the body was mistagged, which is
Yeah.
what we're trying to find out. We just want to know who mistagged the body,
Mm-hmm.
who was the last person to see my father's body, and who was able to move it around because he was on bedside hospice. So the bedside hospice people are only legally on train, but the staff at the hospital is the one taking care of it. So the
Yeah. Oh.
biggest question was who had the custody of the body last, and
Mm-hmm.
if there was a mistagging, who was responsible for the mistagging. So right
Okay.
now we're in litigation to try to find out that information and to
Okay.
see if we can identify who was the person who was in charge of the chain of custody for the body that day.
Okay. All right. I want to
And it's
say,
not the first time this happened, apparently.
yeah.
So
Oh, it's not the first time with the same hospital and the funeral home.
from what I understand, the funeral home may have had experiences. I believe they were said to have shipped the wrong body to Haiti at one point. So yeah, so that was a issue. But again, the funeral home for the Federal Bureau of Investigations for funeral homes and etc. said that they found no misdealings with the funeral home when they investigated.
I mean, I'm just saying that just sound really fishy to me, because with forensics and all I mean, everything that we have now, technology that we have now, you could build someone's genetic makeup and know exactly who you're dealing with. You don't even need a name. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Because even when my father's twin took the DNA test, they said it was inconclusive because she's his twin sister, and
Mm-hmm.
twins don't always have matching DNA, which is why I had to come down and take it, and then mine's matched up, and then the dental records matched up with both our DNAs, and then that proved that the man in the casket was actually not my father
Yeah.
because they kept saying that COVID shrinks your bones, and
Yeah.
that's why the man was like 6 inches shorter than my father, and that COVID changes your skin tone, COVID changes so many things on your body that it makes you unrecognizable. And I was like, that's impossible.
But then the DNA proved that it wasn't him anyway. So
Exactly.
they couldn't deny that
And
the
that was the hardest part. The hardest part for us wasn't even the fact that he's missing was bad, but the fact that no one believed us and everybody thought that we were crazy and making it up. I
yeah.
think that part kind of ruined my life way more than it should have.
Yeah. Well, my condolences from everyone, here at Island Vibes and Table Talk Show. I hope you get some type of reward, some type of positive feedback at some point in time, and somebody comes forward and says something, because it just sounds really fishy. And these days with body swapping and so many different things and people wanting other people's organs, and now that you're saying that they had that piece, I didn't know, where you say that they had a whatever on top of the building. What was it? Another jail or something on top of
the first floor, on the first floor of the
first
building.
floor.
That's where they see prisoners from the jail.
Right. You know, so that just sounds really, really fishy to me, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, really fishy. So
we're not from Florida. We don't know the rules. We don't know the laws. There's nothing in this that would initiate or insinuate that we went down there or we were like trying to manipulate anything, because I haven't lived in Florida since I was 4 or 5 years old. That's the last time I lived in Florida legally. So I don't know anything about Florida rules and regulations. My sister has been out of Florida since she was 16, because that's when I got custody of my little sister. So, and Adeline is still assimilating to the country. She's only been here since 2020. So she's still getting her English together, starting to understand the rules and regulations of the country. It's not that. And Edson hasn't lived in Florida in about 10 years himself. So none of us could have been fully aware of the process of a loved one dying in Florida, or how to follow up with a loved one dying in Florida, the funeral process, the legal processes of dying in Florida, because this is the first time that we had a parent pass away in Florida. And this is the only parent that we all have in Florida to begin with. Some of us don't even have parents in America to begin with. So none of us were aware of how the structure of Florida's funeral systems, hospital systems, when it comes to death, especially the death of a parent, none of us were aware. So the only thing I can say with this day and age, mark your family's body up when they're in a hospital at this point.
Take
a permanent marker and like write an X on a weird part of their body. So that way you'd be like, no, I put an X on their left kneecap. And I know this is my person.
The thing is, they have evidence. Right? They do have evidence that is not him. That's my thing. They do have evidence. But you know, for lack of time, we've gone over like 15 minutes.
Yes,
we have. It was such a pleasure, you know, as I said before, meeting you, hearing your story. I just pray that everything goes well in the future and you get some kind of positive feedback in reference to this. You guys stay on top of it. You know, it could be something so simple that's probably in your face and everybody's not seeing it. And the thing is, the state is involved and you can't let them just push it underneath the rug. You know, when it comes to state issued things or anything of the sort that the government has to do, sometimes you find time passes by and maybe 30 years from now, they'll find out what it is when they could have found out what it is now, you know?
Right.
So I wish you the best of luck. I wish you the best of luck in your business.
Thank you.
And everything that you're doing. I'm coming to you as a client because you have so much information that I want to know and I want to share with my people as well. So, you know, and everybody that's locked on and listening, thank you so much for logging on to islandvibe.net. Keep it locked. You could also go back if you just tuned in and, you know, review what you saw. If you have any information for us, you can email us at islandvibe.net@gmail.com. All right. All the information is going to be below. You could click on the links and you could reach us if you have a story to tell. Have a great day, everyone. You could add me also, Nikki G The Voice, on Instagram and nikkigmedia.com on the internet. Peace and love, and have a great day, everyone.
Welcome to Table Talk with Nikki G The Voice, where we bring to you highlights of entrepreneurs, leaders, organizers, and much more. A broad spectrum of professionals, including chefs, artists, designers, musicians, and much, much more. Our show is a new brand of talk shows where we educate, bring transparency, and last but not least, fun. Table Talk. Get ready for our seasons, a roller coaster of emotions, all wrapped into one. Caribbean style. We'll cover our Caribbean roots as well, so keep it locked. Welcome to Table Talk. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and iTunes.
Own it, girl, you just own it. Cause your body's on fire. Show me how to control it.
Table Talk Show is now on Island Vibes Radio. You can catch us every Saturday from 10 to 12 p.m. Log on to Island Vibes Philly or islandvibe.net.